Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Lucha Underground Luchador Spotlight. On our last episode, we covered, let's just be real here. We covered the man who took down death itself. We covered Phoenix, the man with 1,000 lives. But now today, we are going to be covering somebody who was not only Phoenix's first ever singles opponent in Lucha Underground, but a man that the performer who portrays Phoenix calls brother. Pentagon Jr.
Let me preface this by saying two things. One, when I brought what I would call the template of this idea to Ashton, it was Pentagon Jr. that I had in mind that I was most excited about doing this idea with. So that tells you everything about how I feel about this guy from the jump.
And I didn't even know that.
And the second thing, and this is probably the biggest praise I can heap on somebody, if it wasn't for Johnny Mundo in this promotion, Pentagon would hands down be my favorite guy going right now. Because this guy is just absolutely incredible. When you want to talk about a character arc and how fulfilling it was and how great he is at just, mic work, I think body languages too is underrated on this guy. Just everything.
Just his ability to emote in general.
Exactly. I mean, Ashton, to think, and you and I have talked about this, and I wanted to wait a while before we would talk about something like this again, and I feel like it's appropriate here, to think that in AAA, this guy was doing shit. Mm-hmm. And then the Lucha Underground scoops him up, and they see the star in him, and they unleash it. His stock has never been higher, just as a performer in general. He got to be a part of Pro Wrestling Guerrilla's Bola, and they did that huge tag match.
And it was amazing.
Exactly. What he has been doing since Lucha Underground kind of breathed life into his career, because he had the ability to carry the rest on his own, has been incredible. And to say that I am excited to not only be recapping his season 1, but to show you guys what we have planned for his season 2 would probably be the grossest understatement I have come on here to utter in some time. So I am just so ready to do this.
Yeah, and what's great about Pentagon too, he's not quite as young as his little brother. Phoenix is 24 years old, and that's just, oh my God, potential out the yin-yang. But Pentagon is still a young guy. He's still only 30 years old. He's still he's not even close to hitting his prime yet. To me, wrestlers generally hit their prime between 35 and 40 years old, and he's not quite there yet.
I completely agree. To me, Ashton, at least from my experience, when you're good, I think 30 is that age where it really all starts to come together. You really start figuring it out, and you really start being the performer that you can be. Like Jay Lethal's currently 30, and he's lighting the world on fire.
Right.
So I think that is a great age to be. He's in the right place at the right time, and I'm telling you, man, Pentagon's second season, he may be the guy that we walk away talking about the most. And I feel like he was already in contention for that in the first season. I just think he's going to follow up that momentum in the second season. So
you know what, John? I do legitimately feel like Pentagon Jr. is, in a roundabout way, the face of Lucha Underground. Because to me, he symbolizes everything that Lucha Underground stands for. Let's just run down the list. They give people who nobody else would even look at second chances. Pentagon fits that.
Yes.
They don't necessarily need you to be the most insanely talented wrestler or athlete in the world in order to get over. And I think that harkens back to the 70s, 80s, and before then, when you had guys like Dusty Rhodes and Jerry Lawler who weren't bodybuilders or freak, crazy, acrobatic athletes like Ricochet and Neville. That they could get over because of just the way that they connect with the crowd. That's Pentagon.
Right.
And even further than that, violence.
Yes. Oh my God, the violence. And you know what I love about the violence that Pentagon Jr. kind of embodies and represents? It's not overly done. You know what I mean? Because when normally you think violence, you think throwback ECW, cheese grater to the nuts or thumbtacks or this and that. No, there's almost a purity, as weird as that sounds, to the violence that Pentagon inflicts, because it's just really manipulating the human anatomy to your will, and it's amazing.
And that's the thing too, is it's not even necessarily that Zack Sabre Jr. level of just body pretzel torture.
Right.
He's a weird combination of that style and Brock Lesnar, because he just destroys people by picking them up and throwing them down on their heads.
I just, to me, when you look at a performer like Pentagon and just his in-ring style and just how he carries himself, he really is like, he is, I think, one of, if not the best thing going in that temple, and just the crowd reaction he gets. And I'm be curious to see the crowd reaction he gets this season, given that now this will be a full season that he's running with Vampiro, as the master. It's going to be very interesting, but I just love everything they're doing with the character right now. Without a doubt, the best character to me. And that's the distinction. There could be debate about best in-ring worker. I don't think there's any debate that he is the best character in the temple, for me.
Oh, yeah. Well,
He's
I
just
think
amazing.
really that argument comes down to him and Mill.
Yeah, completely agree with you.
Maybe if you want to
Absolutely.
throw Katrina in there, because she's really what makes Mill the most interesting.
Right, right. But yeah, his character is just superb.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about what happened for Pentagon in season 1, right?
Right.
First time we saw him was the main event of episode 3. It was him, Drago, and Phoenix. He pinned Phoenix for the win.
Yes.
Or no, backwards.
Phoenix pinned him.
Yeah,
Yes.
Phoenix pinned Pentagon for the win. So then you and I kind of, logically drew the conclusion that, okay, well, now we know that Phoenix is the best of the 3, but if Drago would have been in Pentagon's position, would he also have gotten pinned? So I think Cueto had that same line of thinking, because on the following episode, I believe we got Pentagon versus... Oh, it wasn't Drago, it was Phoenix. Pentagon versus Phoenix. Phoenix won that match again with a top rope Spanish fly, but prior to the match, Pentagon cut a promo about how no one respected him in Mexico, and that he was thanking, just kind of in general, being thankful for giving him the respect he deserves, and that after he takes care of his unfinished business, what he's going to do to Phoenix is just an example of what will happen to whoever wishes to confront him. Because my name, well, yo soy Pentagon Jr. Y cero miedo. I love that, man. It's so good.
So good.
Yeah. So eventually we get this long run of him cutting promos about how he wants to be accepted. At one point there was a thing with Chavo where Chavo was about to attack Sexy Star. Pentagon came out, looked like he was going to help Chavo, and then Phoenix came out to save Sexy Star, and that all led to a tag team match where Phoenix and Sexy Star won.
Yes.
So then we got a big video package explaining Pentagon's past, how he went to Japan to learn the way of the samurai and basically became a dark samurai, and his entire way of life, his entire lifestyle is based on the concept of cero miedo, which means zero fear.
Exactly. He goes, he trains, he becomes this master, but he indulges in like the darkness, and yeah, he doesn't fear anything. So I love it.
Right. So then we get Chavo versus Phoenix with Pentagon and Sexy Star on the outside. Pentagon helps Chavo as far as like grabbing the leg of Phoenix and that kind of stuff. But it actually goes as far as to help Chavo win. So Chavo actually beat Phoenix in this match thanks to Pentagon.
Yeah, Pentagon, huge assist there for Chavo Guerrero.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, is Pentagon is a good friend. Pentagon is a great ally if you want one. Then in episode 8 we had those 2 10-way matches, and there was a line I remember where Vampiro comes right out and says, I totally just became that guy's friend. Or, not friend, fan. I totally just became that guy's fan. So even early on in the season, you could see Vampiro was very drawn to Pentagon.
Yes. Great catch there, Ashton.
Yeah, so obviously Pentagon didn't win that match, and then he went on to, again, not win Aztec Warfare. But in Aztec Warfare, worth noting, Chavo turns on Pentagon. So Pentagon reached out to Chavo, helped him win a match, was a really good partner, and then Chavo goes full-blown every man for himself and cracks Pentagon with a chair.
Yes. Yeah, Chavo completely severing that bond.
Right, and I think you and I agree this might have been the spark that drew Pentagon to go where he went this season.
Oh, absolutely, without question.
Yeah, because the next time that we see Pentagon, he's in a match against Superfly, and there are a lot of hints dropped by Vampiro about how good Pentagon is and how he just doesn't surround himself with the right people and that he needs guidance, and then he's almost like he's coaching Pentagon, like, control yourself, man, and that kind of thing. And then we get a post-match promo from Pentagon saying that he thought Chavo was a legend and that he could help me, but you know what? He's a fraud. I know there's someone willing to join forces with me and willing to help me. Porque yo soy Pentagon Jr. y cero miedo.
Oh man, that phrase. I
For
love
those
it.
of you that are completely and utterly ignorant to the Spanish language, which that's I know it's not necessarily an uncommon thing. I know there are a lot of people. All he's saying there is my name is Pentagon Junior and Zero Fear.
Yes.
So then we get Famous B versus Pentagon Junior. And before this match, we had another Pentagon Zero Fear video package. But then we had in this match Vampiro talking about Pentagon's transformation, talking about how it seems like Pentagon is enjoying the beatdown that he was delivering to Famous B. And then after the match, he pledges his loyalty to his master.
Yes, this is where it all starts, man. Oh my god, what a ride this would be. Yeah, he destroys Famous B here.
Yep. And then another episode after that, we get Pentagon versus Rickey Mandel. And again, there's kind of a moment where Vamp talks about Pentagon referring to a master, and then Stryker goes out of his way to make a comparison to a Sith Lord. And I don't know if it was intentional or not, but it was a great comparison because that's basically what Vamp ends up being by the end of the season. And Pentagon has Ricky beat, but he pulls his head up off the mat and says, no, no, no. And then he locks in that armbreaker submission. Rickey Mandel taps out to end the match, and then Pentagon breaks the arm anyway. And that was the first sacrifice where he says that, he's given this sacrifice to you, my master. And Vampiro does a good job translating what Pentagon says, but also explains Pentagon asking for acceptance.
Yes, absolutely love this here.
Yeah. So then we get Pentagon versus Vinny Massaro. Same thing. Dominance breaks the arm. And then Pentagon versus Argenis. Same thing. Argenis puts up a little bit more of a fight. But then after the match, we get another promo, him asking, or him telling his master that no one can stop him and that he's prepared and he has zero fear. And then we get Pentagon in a trios team with Superfly and Sexy Star, where they lose, and then he wants to break Superfly's arm, but Sexy Star saves him. So that's the first time that anyone ever was targeted by Pentagon and then not able to get sacrificed. So then we get Superfly versus Sexy Star on the following match in the mask versus mask match, where Sexy wins and takes Superfly's mask, and then Pentagon comes out, throws Sexy Star out of the ring, and breaks Superfly's arm.
Yeah, and this would lead into the whole Pentagon Sexy Star angle.
Yep.
And yeah, that was good stuff.
And then on the following episode was when he assaulted Melissa Santos as well.
Yeah, what a heel. I think that was the one moment that made everybody uncomfortable, because poor Melissa Santos.
It was a great moment, though, because he whispers in her ear, and then she says that Pentagon is dedicating the following sacrifice to his master, and then as she's walking away, he runs over to try and grab her.
Yeah, it's crazy, man.
And then, Vampiro kind of gets up out of his chair like he's going to go save Melissa, but then Sexy Star runs in and makes the save. So it looked like Vamp might have done something, but it ended up being Sexy Star running out to make the save. And then we do get, on the following episode, Sexy Star versus Pentagon, where Sexy Star wins. And, of course, that was also kind of a big moment for Melissa Santos. She was very happy about that. So it was a little bit more kind of celebration there. And then we get this big 7-way match where Phoenix wins his Aztec Medallion that was also involving Pentagon. No sacrifices were made here. And then we get a Vampiro sit-down interview with Sexy Star going over her feud with Pentagon, talking about how she wants to get revenge on him and teach him a lesson. And then we get the big submission match, Pentagon versus Sexy Star. Pentagon cuts a promo about how he's going to break her and sacrifice her to his master, all while she's in the ring. So the ultimate form of disrespect, not only turning his back, but basically ignoring that she was even there because he doesn't see her as a serious threat. Talking to the crowd, saying that he's going to break her while she's right there. He's going to sacrifice her to his master, etc. And then she attacks him during his promo, but it doesn't take very long for him to regain control, and they have the match underway. Superfly comes out and attacks Sexy Star, which allows Pentagon to win the match. And then post-match, he tries to break her arm, but Vampiro pushes him off of her, and this starts their feud.
Yes.
So, and this also was the moment where we got Vampiro's awesome mirror scene, where he cracks the mirror open with his own skull.
That's right. Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah. So then we get a moment where we were supposed to have a 5-way Aztec Medallion match, but Pentagon comes out early, cuts a promo, gets in Vampiro's face, and then leaves.
Yes, Pentagon having none of this whole Aztec Medallion business. He's got a bigger prize in mind.
Yeah. So then we get Pentagon talking to his master, and the master speaks perfect English, which is noteworthy. And he tells him that Ian Hodgkinson would be his next sacrifice. And those of us who are familiar, Ian Hodgkinson is the real name of Vampiro. And then later on in the night, we had a sit-down interview, Vampiro talking to Pentagon, and it was incredibly tense. Vampiro tells Pentagon that he reminds him of a younger version of himself. Very noteworthy there. Pentagon calls Vampiro a coward. Of course, this is where Vampiro gets very defensive and talked about how I will destroy you, I will end you, but this is not my time. My time has come and gone. Pentagon just kind of gets angry and yells, and that's kind of how we conclude that interview. So kind of awkward, but still very intense.
Definitely.
So then we had this big moment at the very end of the night where Stryker is signing out. It was the Atomicos match where it was Team El Patron versus Team Mundo. That match was over. Stryker signing us out, filling us in on what's going to happen next week. And next thing you know, Pentagon attacks Vampiro with a chair, pours gasoline on him, and threatens to light him on fire if he doesn't accept his challenge for Ultima Lucha by the following week.
Yeah, great scene here. Just whole great moment for the season. Just that beatdown was so well done.
It was so freaking scary, too.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, well, he threatened to set a man on fire, and given what we'd already seen in the temple, like,
yeah.
I'm just thinking, yeah, he'd do it. So,
So then on the following episode, we had Pentagon had a meeting in Dario Cueto's office where Cueto wanted to just give him an Aztec medallion, but Pentagon turns it down because his only goal is to destroy and therefore sacrifice Vampiro.
Yeah, that he's very single-minded. Got that tunnel vision, just thinking, nope, I want Ian Hodgkinson. You can take your medallions and shove it, more or less.
And if I remember correctly, this is also the scene where Pentagon said, if I was interested in your medallions, you would already be down, and I would have taken all 7 of them.
I know, right? I love that. What a boss.
So then we get this big in-ring promo where Vampiro is starting to talk, and then Pentagon comes out to do some trash talking. Vampiro says that he, being Ian Hodgkinson, won't fight Pentagon, but Vampiro will. He says the man that's going to kick your ass at Ultima Lucha is Vampiro.
Yes, great moment here for Vampiro. Got really over with the crowd too, which was a relief to me because the tentativeness I had about this whole angle, and just seeing how they did it, I just made me have a huge sigh of relief.
Yeah, absolutely. And then not only that, but then we had that awesome YouTube video of Vampiro kind of reclaiming himself as Vampiro, where he beats the shit out of like 3 or 4 guys. And then you just see him with a bloody mouth afterwards, implying that he full-on vampire drank their blood.
Yes, love that. That was great.
Yeah. And then finally we get to Ultima Lucha, the Cero Miedo match, Vampiro versus Pentagon. And Pentagon beat the Ian Hodgkinson out of Vampiro, and he is now 100% evil. Like, for those of you that are familiar with Dragon Ball Z, and I apologize to those of you that aren't because I'm about to go down a road that you're not going to know about. This reminds me a lot of the Majin Buu saga, where the original Majin Buu was the Vampiro that we knew all season. He was kind of a bad guy. He kind of cheered for the bad guys, but at the end of the day, you knew he wasn't going to really do any major harm. And then the moment happens where he splits into Good Buu and Evil Buu, and Good Buu eats Evil Buu. Or no, actually, other way around. Evil Buu eats Good Buu. Evil Buu turns Good Buu into a chocolate bar and eats him. And that's what this match was. This Cero Miedo match, this was Pentagon forcing the evil Vampiro to destroy the good Ian Hodgkinson from that body. And all that we were left with was the pure evil of Vampiro, who also ended up, big spoiler here, being Pentagon's master.
Yes. Oh my God, that post-match bombshell. So good.
Yeah, it was amazing.
And then, dude, we have the closing scene in Ultima Lucha Part 2, where Pentagon Jr. asks, didn't he ask him, where do we go now,
Where do we
Master?
go now? And then Vampiro said, to a dark place.
Yes. And here we are now. That's the whole season 1 recapped. And now for Pentagon Jr. season 2. Dude, oh my goodness. All right. I guess I can go first, if that's all right.
Oh, sure, go for it.
All right. Well, guys, really more or less, here's my thing. For the beginning of his season, I want the sacrifices to go on as they were. Maybe not even so much game competition. Maybe we get some new kind of jobbers in there, kind of build him up. But as the season progresses, I want the sacrifices to become more meaningful. For example, I want at one point Drago to be sacrificed, which I think would be a huge deal because he's the last dragon. Aerostar at another point because he's a guy that lives in the cosmos. So you're drawing on the energy of the universe. And I want all of this to lead up at Ultima Lucha to Pentagon Jr. versus Prince Puma. Now, what Prince Puma will be doing alongside, and I only mention this because it's important, even though this isn't his episode, he has his rematch with Mil Muertes straight away, loses like we talked about, still no Conan. But what I would want him to do is, I think if you remember, Ashton, I mentioned this to you in one of our episodes when we were talking about Puma. I want him to go on a pilgrimage of sorts back to the ruins of his tribe and kind of have that reconnection. Like, it's okay, I don't have Conan, I've been losing, I need to get back on my feet, I need to get refocused. So I want him to go on this pilgrimage. He's off TV for several weeks, but of course we check in on him, naturally, and he reconnects with his tribe because, as Conan mentioned in the early episodes, Puma is the last of his tribe, and really, he found Puma fighting in the streets, in the barrios. So, for Puma, this is a very important experience. And I want him, when he comes back, to immediately be confronted, not in a violent way, but by Pentagon and Vampiro. Vampiro saying, hey, Puma, don't think that I wasn't watching you. Don't think I wasn't keeping tabs on you while you were going on your little pilgrimage, your little journey.
Your little vision quest.
Your little vision quest. And let me tell you something, Puma, you've been missing something. And we can tie in the animosity Vampiro has with Conan. He says Conan was your problem. You need that influence, but you don't need an influence like Conan. Conan was always barking orders at you, which he was. If you could hear any Puma match, he was always like, Puma, stay on him, or Puma, do that. Always very animated.
Yep.
Vampiro says, look at how I guide Pentagon. I guide him from afar. I guide him in the shadows, and then I unleash him so he can do his own thing when the time is right. It is timing, Puma. It is just his craftiness that you need. I can be better than Conan ever was for you. Conan was only holding you back. I can push you forward. You can change the course of your entire tribe right now if you say yes to me, because the reason why you are the last one left is because they didn't go far enough, and I can teach you how. Obviously, Puma says no. I would even have a little moment where, like, when he leaves, he bumps shoulders with Vampiro. And Pentagon is fuming at this. Like, I would already have him show signs of jealousy that the offer is even being put forth, because we know Pentagon, like, this was his companionship, his family. He's very emotionally vulnerable. I think we've learned about
he's a very petty guy, and I think it makes a lot of sense that, like, he was seeking this companionship, and once he finally gets it, you would think he would definitely be very jealous if his newfound companion would be reaching out to other people.
But the jealousy, though, here's the thing. After Puma bumps shoulders with Vampiro, that jealousy becomes full-blown rage, because keep in mind, Pentagon not only views Vampiro as his master, but I think he even called him as something at some point that Matt Stryker actually said refers to, like, some kind of god. Like, Vampiro is Pentagon's deity. So Puma bumping shoulders with Vampiro, that's like a form of sacrilege for Pentagon. Like, how dare you?
Okay, I see.
How dare you? Do this.
Yep.
So that's what it becomes. And this is what makes the sacrifice at Ultima Lucha so important, or potential sacrifice, I should say, because, and I love this. I love that Lucha Underground is a promotion built on a kind of mythology, because what I would make the whole angle isn't just the idea, I've got to get revenge for my master, but on a grander scale, Puma being the last of his tribe, Pentagon has the chance as a Rudo to get the best kind of heat. I have the chance to wipe out a tribe.
Yeah.
And I want to make that a huge freaking deal, because you had Matanza eat a man's face. You had Muertes pretty much become death and powerbomb a man through a building. I want to give Pentagon something. And really, Ashton, you may have already given it to him in the way you articulated how he killed Ian Hodgkinson, but I want to have for him the potential to take out a goddamn tribe, because these tribes are huge in Lucha Underground. They're everything. That was the first thing we learned about in the early episodes. So the
Yep.
idea that Pentagon now has this opportunity to wipe off one, or I should say one off the face of the earth completely, that's huge. And I want to make that the story. And the beautiful thing is, because it's Lucha Underground, we can make that the story. Now, I would even have, and see, I had to make a little alteration here as kind of a build-up for the feud. I know I've been saying all along, like, oh, Son of Havoc for Aztec Warfare. I think I would have Puma win, because I think I would like to have Pentagon cost him that world title match later on down the road as part of the build.
I love that.
So this way, like, when Pentagon, well, God, I'm so excited about this. Sorry, I keep stumbling everywhere.
Don't worry, man. It's all good.
When Puma comes back from his pilgrimage, he wins as so we know already he's in a good state of mind. He's back. He's better than ever. But Pentagon's not going to have that, because it's like, well, you can't be successful without my master. How dare you? And then as far as Ultima Lucha goes, I have been waffling so much on the finish, guys. You have no idea. You know what? Screw it. I'm going to say Pentagon goes over. I have been waffling on that so bad, because my thing is, I don't really, me being old school, I'm not the biggest fan of a babyface of Puma's caliber losing at the biggest event 2 years or 2 seasons in a row this would be.
Right, yeah.
And that does kind of bother me, but I just think, like, I think I would have Puma go out like a boss, though, because I have this image in my head where Pentagon breaks Puma's arm mid-match, but he keeps fighting with the broken arm, but he falls just a little while later. So you have him go down defiant, but I would give Pentagon this one. I think it would be a great story to tell, like, oh my God, this tribe is gone. Because to me, and I just now thought about this, we know there are gods and there's a force at work here in the temple. Now, I want to know what happens with those forces when one tribe is just completely gone and the balance is just thrown out of whack and is completely chaotic.
Would there still be 7 Aztec medallions, or would it be reduced to 6?
And that's a great question. See, that's what I'm talking about, Ashton, that kind of possibility. There's no more harmony now. Pentagon has robbed the temple of that. And to me, that makes him the scummiest of all, because he's doing heelish things on a cosmic fucking level. And that's why I think I'd go for it, because any other promotion that doesn't bother to deal with mythology or really go outside of itself, I think, no, you gotta have the babyface win, because this is so grounded in whatever. But here, I feel like it's not even that great of a loss, because, again, you'd have Puma still put up one hell of a fight with a broken freaking arm. And when Pentagon wins, I feel like that tells such a story for the temple, because, oh my God, this tribe is gone. It's extinct now. What happens to the temple? How angry are the gods going to be? Has Pentagon just created an even worse thing that he's going to have to deal with later on? The vengeance of the gods themselves. I think you could tell a really great story here. So you know what? With that in mind, and knowing it's Lucha Underground, I'm going to let go of all my reservations. I'm going to say, yeah, I'd have Pentagon go over, and he'd break Puma's arm, and he'd wipe out his tribe. So That's my season 2 for Pentagon. I was so excited about this. I thought about it all day, guys. So there it is.
I gotta ask though, how does that end the tribe?
Well, I mean, because Puma's the last one, and even though
it's not like he's killing him, he's just breaking his arm.
I think, well, in the way, like,
it's more like a spiritual thing.
Yeah, because it's like a
sacrificing the spirit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I think the workaround is, because I see what you're saying, because you're not pulling him, you're not killing the man.
Right.
But I think, when you have terminology and language like sacrifice and this and that, and God only knows how powerful Pentagon and Vampiro will become after this. That's the thing too, because Puma's one of the top dogs here. Knowing that Pentagon did that to a guy like Puma, yeah. I mean, Mil Muertes may have to be looking over his shoulder, or Matanza or whatever, and I just, yeah. I just, that's what I'm going with.
I dig that, man. I dig that. I think my route for Pentagon is going to be a little bit more simple, honestly.
Right.
I think I'm just going to have him kill everyone all season.
Hey, that works, man. Hell yeah. Hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Because, I mean, in season 1, but that's the thing, though. In season 1, he only really killed jobbers. Like, he killed, like we said, Vinny Massaro, Famous B, Rickey Mandel, Argenis, guys that didn't really mean anything in the long run for the temple. I think I'm going to have Pentagon go on a little bit of a warpath and maybe go after some of the bigger names.
Yes.
Like, I would have him
Yes.
immediately. I think this is where you and I are different, because you have the Puma Pentagon match being the end game. That's what I would probably start the season with. Like, of course, I would have Puma go after Mill's title to start the season. But then after that, I really do think that I would start the Pentagon Puma feud immediately. Like, I might even have Pentagon cost Puma his match with Mill, the return match.
Right,
that
right,
that might be my out as a way to say, like, yeah, Puma could have won if it wasn't for.
right. I see what you're
So
saying.
so I would probably do that and then have those guys clash. I would give them in season. I would make Pentagon versus Prince Puma in season 2 the season 2 equivalent of our season 1 feud, Mill versus Phoenix.
I like the sound of that. Yeah,
Where
definitely.
the feud doesn't necessarily happen every week, but it still feels like it lasts all season.
Yes,
I would,
yes, I get what you're
yeah,
saying.
because to me, the biggest question that I have in this entire landscape is Conan alive? Because to me, the entire kind of mystery that makes me question that is because when Mil Muertes got put in the coffin with that stone and the lid shut, it killed him. He was dead then, which is why Katrina had to revive him in a different form.
Right.
Conan he met the same fate. He was locked in the coffin. So to me, that either means that A, Mill was never actually dead in the first place and it was just an implied death, or B, Conan is dead.
Yeah, and see, I think Conan is dead, and I'll put that forward right now to kind of answer your question. I feel like he's dead, and that's why I would have, like, in my thing when Vampiro's kind of talking with Puma to kind of invoke Conan and be like, well, I'm glad he's dead because he was never any good for you to begin with, because I just
Well,
don't see Conan coming back.
and that to me tells me that we can do even more to make this work in a similar way to what we did in season 1 with Mill and Phoenix, because when Mill put Phoenix through a goddamn building, Phoenix disappeared for like a month or two. And I think that we
Yes.
can do something here where we get Pentagon and Puma, and at first it's just a regular match, and then it's like maybe like a Boyle Heights street fight, and then we do a last luchador standing match, and we eventually work our way to something that feels more permanent. Maybe like I don't know. I guess the last luchador standing match would be good. I don't want to do
Yeah.
another Grave Consequences match because that feels more like it belongs to Mil Muertes than anything. Right?
Yes. Yeah,
So
completely.
I would probably have it be the last luchador standing match. We work up to that. Pentagon wins, and then we don't see Puma again for another couple months.
Right.
And in that time, we don't see him in the temple, but we can still see videos of him and cinematics of him and what he's doing. And I would do what we talked about and what you used in yours, going on that sort of vision quest where he kind of returns to the land that his ancestors settled in, and
Right.
and try and find himself. Because I honestly, I wouldn't have him win a match up until this point. I would have him go 0-4, insert number of matches he's in here, but I would have it be against Mil Muertes and then 2, 3, 4 matches against Pentagon, and he would lose all of them.
Right. Okay.
And then I would have him go on this vision quest, and then when he comes back to the temple, his first match back, I would have be against a bigger name, maybe like a Drago, maybe like, I wish Hernandez was still around because he would have been
Yeah.
perfect for that, but that's not going to work, obviously. So maybe King Cuerno, that would be perfect. Puma's first match back from his vision quest, he beats King Cuerno.
Yeah, there you go.
And it plants this seed of, oh man, Puma's back, and he might actually have come back prepared and maybe even better than ever, which is scary because he was the number one guy in season 1. So if he's better than ever now, he might even be able to stand up to Mil Muertes, right?
Right.
So then he works his way up the ladder, gets to the top, challenges Mil again, and Pentagon screws him again.
I'd love it. Absolutely.
And then we get Puma versus Pentagon part 2, in the sense that we already had it in the first half of the season. Now we're getting it again in the second half of the season. But this time it is much more even. Puma is making better decisions. He's wrestling smarter. He's not as reckless. it's almost as if Conan is there, except he doesn't need Conan to be there because he just grew as a person.
Yes, I love that.
And
I love that.
I would have this particular feud culminate in Puma winning, but not in a way that discredits Pentagon.
Right. Yeah.
I would probably have Puma beat Pentagon in the most, when I say decisive, I don't mean like dominant. I mean like clearly, yes, Puma is your winner, but I would have it be in a way that doesn't make Pentagon look weak or like a wimp or anything like that. Like I wouldn't want Puma to pin or submit Pentagon at all.
Right.
I would probably have Puma hit a 630. That's what it would be. That's what it would be. Cage match. Puma hits the 630 off the top of the cage. Pentagon kicks out. Puma wins by escape.
There you go. Because, I mean, a 630 from that height, even if Pentagon does kick out, it's got to drive the air out of you.
Yeah.
So I could believe in, Puma
and then Puma
escaping.
wins by escape. And then kind of the final stretch of the season, I think that I would just kind of have him maybe even tease that he's going to try and bring Conan back.
Right.
Because even though he doesn't need Conan, or I mean, I don't know how far they would go with like the spirituality and stuff, but I could see them doing a thing where it's like he's like talking to a vision of Conan.
Yeah.
And
I like
being
that
like
idea.
just thanking him for all that he did, but telling him that he doesn't need him anymore and that he can rest easy now.
Yeah. I love that idea.
That
I
kind
love
of
that
thing.
you and I'll tell you what, but between both of our bookings, I love that you and I are really taking advantage of the fact that there is a very deep and rich mythos about Lucha Underground and using that to our benefit. Because I think that's great. And I think Puma being more a part of that for a second season would be a wonderful experience.
And you know what, dude? That would be on my Ultima Lucha. My Ultima Lucha match would be Puma Pentagon with Puma. It's a cage match with Puma hitting the 630 off the top of the cage, and then Pentagon kicks out. Puma wins by escape. And then if they decide to make an every season thing where they have the final 5 minutes of Ultima Lucha be like setting up for the following season, my moment would be Puma sitting in the back, proud of himself for having won, and then a vision of Conan appears. Puma tells him that he appreciates all that he did for him and that he wouldn't be here without him, but that he doesn't need him anymore and that he can rest easy. Conan disappears. Puma sets his thoughts or his eyes or something to imply that he is ready to go back after the championship for season 3.
I love that idea. And see, for me, since we're talking about like setting up things, with the final 5 minutes, having Puma having his arm broken, obviously things are in disarray. This last guy, this tribe's been sacrificed, probably the biggest sacrifice ever. I personally liked your idea of the medallion representing Puma's tribe being destroyed, and then like there only being 6.
Yeah.
And I have to wonder, like, it'd be cool if the person who won Gift of the Gods, maybe that championship gets reduced to ash or something because now it's incomplete because one of the medallions got destroyed, and then that gives them
could be like a
motivation.
mission that they have that they need to get the 7th medallion back for season 3.
Exactly, and that could lead to a feud between maybe that person and
And
Pentagon.
Pentagon, yes.
Yeah, and
Yep.
then
And
maybe
it would
you
be
have,
Evil East, so that would be insane.
and then maybe you show like I don't know, maybe the temple like I don't know shaking a little bit, or you hear like
Yeah.
a thunderous voice, like a god, or just really something to show like everything has changed.
The Great Dragon.
Yeah, great. Things like
Because
that.
Dragon
Like,
Balls, because we're basically doing the Dark Dragon Ball storyline right now.
well, yeah, I mean, more or less. But I think to me, when I talk about that, it's not even like about the fact that Medallion was destroyed. It's just like something has changed in the temple. Pentagon has changed the landscape with this sacrifice, and even the preceding sacrifices. Because remember, I said that he'd break Drago's arm, he'd break Aerostar's arm. So these have been worthwhile sacrifices because of their origins, because of their powers. And I would even have again Mil Muertes and maybe even Matanza, depending on how that all shakes out, looking over their shoulder because Pentagon's power has just grown exponentially to end.
And I'm glad you brought that up because while Puma is away on his vision quest, I would have Pentagon go after Mil and the championship.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense to me. He's got a gun for that world title at some point this season because Pentagon is so hot right now that it would be ridiculous for him not to.
That's exactly what I would do. And it's so crazy that we basically just did our Puma spotlight. We're going to do it anyway. It's going to be our last one, but still, like we need to explain so much of what we want Puma to do to get across what we want Pentagon to do because to me, as soon as Vampiro became Pentagon's master, it linked those guys at the hip.
Oh yeah, without question, dude. And yeah, I mean, I do apologize, like going so much into Puma, but I felt like it was out of necessity given
Right.
the end game.
Yeah.
Couldn't be helped. But yeah, I mean, dude, I love
And you
how
never
you and I.
know, in the month between now and the time that we actually do the Puma one, we might change our minds about something.
Hell, I mean, I changed my mind again about Aztec Warfare. I had to take that liberty, just to make the story a bit smoother.
Yeah.
But like I love that you and I pretty much had the same endgame, but we went about it so differently. Both equally compelling, though. I just want to see these guys in the ring together. That's my thing. Like that, I think is my dream match or my dream program, really, for season 2 is Pentagon Puma because I think those two guys could tear the house down,
Yep.
and I think given
And
that
I would even
yeah.
have, like, I would say in the second half of the season, leading up to their Ultima Lucha match, I would do all night long 2.0 between Puma and Pentagon.
Oh my god, yes. Take my money like right freaking now. Shit.
Yeah, because I would, like, that's the thing. Like, Pentagon's whole thing is he wants to punish. Puma's whole thing is he wants his revenge. Just let them kill each other for an hour.
Exactly. Dude, that's perfect. I love it. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I really have nothing more to say because if I kept saying any more, we would get into redundancies. But you
Yep.
guys know my game plan. You know Ashton's. I love both of ours. This is probably gonna be one of my favorite episodes that we've done. Love the enthusiasm here. And my God, January still can't come fast enough. I hate
Yep.
it so much.
All right, guys, that's it for Pentagon, if that's the case then. And I think our next episode, we're kind of taking a little bit of a step back because the last bunch of episodes have been really big names, Mill, Phoenix, Pentagon. Our next episode will be on Tuesday, and we will be talking about Superfly. So tune in for that. Until then, though, be sure to tune in for our WWE TLC preview and predictions. And tomorrow, live reactions. We will see you guys for that.